Take a seat. Well, it is my pleasure at this time to welcome to the podium our valedictorian, Tavin Mosher.
Good evening, faculty, families, friends, and most importantly, graduating class of 2026. Tonight feels like a moment we've been moving towards forever, yet somehow arrived at too quickly. And yet here we are, sitting together one final time as classmates before life carries us in different directions. In preparing for tonight, I asked myself, when we reflect on our time at Tavin Christian Academy, years from now, what will come to mind? What will stick out the most? I hope one of the things that is remembered most is the bond of community we shared, the connections we made with each other, and the way this little family supported each other through the ups and downs of school. The importance of community struck me at an unexpected time recently. I was doing my online training at my job at Target, and I came to a question about my greatest strength. To my surprise, I honestly chose talking to guests. Looking back on the past 8 years at Covenant, I'm struck by how much my life has changed that led me to that answer. When I came to CCA as a 5th grader, I had been homeschooled for 2 years, and outside of my neighborhood, I had very little social life. I felt like my grades had to be perfect. I was anxious talking to a teacher who wasn't my parent. And most challenging of all, I struggled with loneliness as I tried to make friends. But the first year at CCA shaped who I would become. Because of many of you, I slowly began to feel like I belonged. You became my community. However, while we were trying to navigate the first steps of middle school and grow closer together, we learned what it felt like for the world to suddenly stop. COVID changed everything and challenged us in many ways none of us would have expected. Overnight, school shifted from classrooms to bedrooms. We stared at screens instead of faces. We missed games, traditions, normal conversations, and moments we thought we would always have. At times like that, the sense of community felt lost. Many of us experienced confusion, fear, and isolation. For me personally, the separation from my friends deeply affected me and left me feeling alone again. Being cooped up in my house for months brought back many of the same fears and anxieties that I had struggled with years earlier. But when the world became isolated through COVID, many of us learned just how much we needed. We discovered that friendship mattered more than grades, encouragement mattered more than popularity, and that kindness mattered more than appearance. And that being there for one another mattered more than trying to seem perfect. Though those years began with difficulty, we began to rebuild the community we had once lost. And maybe that is one of the greatest gifts God gave our class through these trials. During our time at Covenant, we did more than simply attend classes together. We grew up together, and in many ways, we grew closer together. We learned how to create a community. We worshiped together. We prayed for each other. We sat beside each other during chapel services, sporting events, lunch tables, class trips, and ordinary Tuesdays that didn't seem important at the time. But now we realize that they are. Those little moments became our lives, and now they will become our memories. But what comes next? Many of us have wrestled with that question over the last year. Tonight we stand in a strange place between what was and what will be. Right now, this room is filled with people who know us better than most people ever will. People who saw us succeed, and people who saw us fail. People who saw us laugh uncontrollably and drift apart, grow together, learn, and then come back together again. For years, our lives have been woven together. In many ways, we probably never fully noticed why we're living. But tonight, the unraveling begins. Some of us are headed across the country. Some of us are staying close to home. Some know exactly what comes next, whilst others are stepping into uncertainty. Many schools, new jobs, new cities, and new callings await us. Most of us will never fully know how deeply we affected each other. But I know this. I changed from a quiet, introverted kid into someone who can openly talk with almost anyone, because with you, I found a place where I belong. I found a community. So what do we do when life changes and everything familiar begins to fade away? The question has weighed heavily on my mind these past 2 months. And I want to encourage you to look to Scripture whenever you're afraid or uncertain about the future. In Zephaniah 3:17, we are reminded that the Lord is with us and rejoices over us. The same God who is faithful to us through uncertainty, isolation, disappointment, and change will continue to be faithful in whatever comes next. Throughout the Bible, God continuously reminds us of His goodness, His promises, and His plans for our lives. In Him we can place our faith, our hope, and our future. If we continually look to Jesus as our source of hope and salvation, we will never walk alone. As we leave this place, there will be pressures to become versions of ourselves that are impressive but empty. We'll be told that success is measured by money, status, followers, titles, or achievements. But we do not forget what we have learned: the value of community. Years from now, we may not remember every assignment or every test scored, but we remember the people who stood beside us while we became who we are. So tonight, before we rush toward the future, let us pause long enough to be grateful for the past. And finally, class of 2026, do not be scared of the future. This is not the end of our story. This is the beginning of our call. Congratulations, class of 2026. Now go and be everything God created you.